Lift your leg up, nice and slow, and then you're gonna open up your hips as wide as you can without rotating this hip.
Our goal with changing the perception of what physical therapy is really all about being able to improve the quality of one's movement so they can actually realize their potential for moving more or being stronger in the gym, or shoot, even being able to just play with their kids in the front lawn without really worrying about that pain at the end of the day. And I think a lot of times people think that they need a health practitioner that will fix them, but really I'm very, very big in showing that people can fix themselves. But it's a matter of us giving them the tools to achieve that.
I think physical therapy has given me this appreciation for not wasting what you have. Being able to accept myself that, yeah, that my own body is worth looking after.
Physical therapy is important to me because it's given me my freedom back to move and do what I want to do.
It's making me better.
I feel really comfortable with Joey and Josh and everything they're doing here.
Physical therapy is it's a changing profession for sure, and me and Joey are trying to be on the front lines of that changed perception. What is physical therapy? Okay, so it's not just the individual who's already hurt. So that's where we're trying to get on the front lines for preventative care in regards to the dental industry and how they do 1 to 2 times a year checkup. We should be doing that too. We should be checking up your movement patterns. This is proven, this stuff works. It just requires a little bit more energy and motivation of the individual. It's not just taking a pill or putting an ice pack on you and feeling good.
Josh and I, we had this pretty good bond in getting geeked about our field because there's so much to learn, man. And I think just us putting out information, you know, sometimes you'll even look at the quality of the video. Sometimes it's not the best, but the content is fire. Because if I can change one person with one video, you're already winning, right? So it's not about the glam and the flash, but it really is, if someone lands on my page, I'm really hoping that if they're dealing with a problem and they say, hey, you know what, let me try that. And if it helps, I think we already won, right? Because then they're gonna look at us like someone that can possibly help them in their movement health. And then what's gonna happen when they actually come in and they get to know us? They're gonna show that we love this stuff, and I think our drive and excitement for our field sometimes can relate back to the patient as long as they wanna get better. And those are usually the people that fit best with us. Because we're not a quick fix. We're not a bang bang treatment. We're about changing lifestyles. All right. So thanks for watching that, guys. I thought we'd show that video to give a quick rendition of a little bit about us. But you know what, once again, oh, sorry. There we go. All right, voice okay? You guys good? Okay. All right, so that video kind of just helps demonstrate our why, which is basically our vehicle for, you know, why we do what we do. And the concept of why really comes away from a TED Talk that I ran into when I kind of started this journey. And I would write this down for sure. Simon Sinek's TED Talk, How Leaders Inspire Action. The concept of the golden circle here is talking about the concept of why. Why do you do what you do? And that's something that a lot of people forget to ask each other or really think about when you choose a career. And the thing is, normal communication, or at least not normal, but I would say common communication between people usually revolves around speaking about our what to our how, and sometimes our why is often lost. And what I mean by that is when I introduce myself to someone, typically we would have said, my name is Joey Salgado. I am a physical therapist. I do this through postural education, joint mobilization, soft tissue work, and I really love helping people move better so they can live happier. It's kind of dry, isn't it? You guys got bored a little bit, huh? Okay, so let's see. So if I followed Simon Sinek's way of leading, we would reverse that order and maybe say something like this. Everything we do, from our one-on-one treatments to our social media posts, we hope to truly help people learn how to move better so they can live happier. Living happy can mean a lot of things. From being able to perform well in your sport, or truly being able to help someone feel good so they can actually hang out with your friends, hang out with your family, and not worry about pain at the end of the day. We do this by performing joint mobilizations, postural education, soft tissue work, and helping people become independent users of their body. We just happen to be PTs. Sound a little bit different, right? So reversing that order, I've immediately communicated to you guys why we actually love what we do, and I hope that video gave a little bit of a snippet. Who here wants to love what they do in their career? I guess obvious, right? Now how do we get there? So I hope that this talk hopefully kind of wakes up a little bit of awareness on what we do. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off to my guy Josh, and he's gonna go ahead and enlighten you guys on what physical therapy really is.
All right, good afternoon, guys. I'm Josh, I'm a physical therapist. I'm Joey's partner in crime here. Are any of you guys interested in getting into physical therapy? Awesome. Now, how many of you guys actually kind of know what physical therapy is about? All right, cool. So hopefully for the people that didn't raise their hands, we can shed a little bit of light. Let me get to the... So what is physical therapy? Physical therapy, we're trying to change the perception of what physical therapy is. Franny here, we do treat people like Franny, but physical therapy isn't all about just treating the older population. We treat not only them, but also the weekend warrior, all the way to the professional athlete. So ultimately what we're trying to do here is change the perception. So physical therapy isn't just lifting a half-pound weight or using TheraBands. It's a lot more than that. As you can see with Gretchen here lifting the heavy deadlift, and then the guy next to her doing the actual Spartan race. So what is the actual definition of physical therapy? If we were to give a really basic definition of it, physical therapy is basically treating the individual with movement, and treating basically these movements provides the individual with stress that then the body adapts to. So you know how people weightlift, and through weightlifting they become stronger? That's because the body can adapt to the stresses. So what we do is we dose those stressors so that the individual can adapt and become a stronger individual, and ultimately, hopefully they can withstand the stressors of life and not get injured or recover from an injury. Physical therapy has several subspecialties, meaning things from cardiovascular rehabilitation all the way to sports and pediatric rehabilitation. Each one of those is dealing with a specific impairment or physical limitations, and basically by treating, let me restart here. Basically what me and Joey focus on is the orthopedic side of it, the musculoskeletal system. So that's where, if we move on to the next slide here. Now, the physical therapist is the actual movement expert that evaluates and treats the causes of the individual's impairments, physical impairments. And like I said, we address these impairments through mechanical force. Like example that Joey said, joint mobilizations, or even the exercises, which we call movement patterning. The goal is to pretty much get these individuals back to the prior level of physical function or even higher. Now, like I was saying, our ultimate goal is these two equations right here. This pretty much explains everything we do in the orthopedic musculoskeletal world. So if I was to describe these two equations to you, what this is basically saying is an injury occurs when the load is greater than the individual's capacity. Meaning if the person's tendons or muscles are in a weaker state than the actual load that's applied to them. For example, if somebody rolls their ankle and they don't have the muscle strength or the speed of contraction to save that, then they're going to be injured. And so our goal is to train them to a capacity that's higher than the loads they get exposed to. So for example, somebody's working balance and strengthening the muscles of the lateral chain here, the outside of their leg, to make them stronger, so that ultimately if that ankle sprain does occur, they have the muscle strength to save their ankle and not have a sprain ultimately, or maybe a reduced severity of a sprain. Now that I gave you guys a little bit of background, basic background in what physical therapy is, I wanted to describe my journey so that hopefully we can extrapolate some pearls out of it. Ultimately, my journey started in 8th grade, where I actually met my wife. So it's pretty awesome. I met her in middle school. So my passion started when I wanted to change my body composition. So I started studying the literature on strength and conditioning. And from that passion, I started to dive into the NSCA and then just learning how to train my body to build up that capacity and to change the body composition. Ultimately, I got to a point where I started kind of training for specific reasons. So we call that specificity. So as you can see on the left side there, or right side, that's me riding my motorcycle. So I was training my body in a sense to build up my capacity to endure motocross racing, which is pretty physical. From there, I went on to undergrad at San Jose State University. I took a different path slightly. I chose the financial route initially. I looked into software engineering, which I was lying to myself. I kind of went off my path of passion and tried to follow greed. So my dad, we sat down, we talked, and ultimately he got me back on track, and that's where I studied what's called kinesiology, which is the study of human movement, and what I found helped me tremendously in grad school, because kinesiology is the study of human movement. So when I went to grad school for physical therapy, it was basically a review. Now, in between San Jose State and grad school, I took 1 year off. In this 1 year, I exposed myself to different settings, whether that be an aide, which I highly recommend being an aide at a physical therapy clinic if you guys are interested in the physical therapy world, because that's going to teach you. You can shadow the PTs and learn everything they know. You can pick their brains, so that's free knowledge. I also got into the personal training world, which personal training runs parallel with exactly what we do as PTs. Basically cueing, meaning placing people in proper postures while they're exercising, educating them on the actual dynamics of exercise. So after I completed that 1 year of working as an aide and as a personal trainer, I applied to the University of Pacific, where I met Joey. And yeah, since then, been best pals, man. So while going to the University of Pacific, we're tested constantly, and it was stress, man. It was tough. We had to push through, and perseverance was key. But the fact that I had the kinesiology background, it was helpful in getting me through all the coursework that was tough for the people that didn't do the kinesiology major. This brings me to where I'm at right now. Basically, right now I'm in between two locations. Me and Joey are running PMPT, and at the same time, I'm a staff therapist at a South San Jose clinic. So I'm working long hours, putting in the time, with the ultimate dream of transitioning from a staff therapist to full-time. Me and Joey rocking out, hopefully April 1st here, which is gonna happen. One thing I do want you guys to, that is me and Joey, is read this quote. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Now, right here, I'm not a public speaker. I push myself into this is fear for me right here. So I want you guys to know that you push yourself through fear, and everything you want's on the other side of that. So if there's ever a time where you're questioning because of fear, just do it. Do it, and you'll see it's worth it, and you'll overcome that fear. So I'm gonna give it back to Joey here. Thank you.
Good. All right. Thank you, Josh.
And yeah, I volunteered Josh to come with me, literally. So I'm actually glad he came because he's actually played a huge part in the development of myself, the practice that we kind of grew since about 3 years ago. So I'm happy that he's here growing right in front of my eyes, and I'm growing with him, and yeah, I'm glad to spend time here with you guys. So let's get back to business. All right. The way my career started. I'm gonna read this out loud. Thank you for your interest in UOP, University of the Pacific's physical therapy program. However, after careful review, your application was not among those that were accepted. Awesome start. That's the letter I got. So immediately I felt rejected. It was hard. This was 2008. At this point, I thought about, was I not good enough for this profession? What was wrong with me? Did I make the wrong choice? What the hell am I doing here? And the emotions really were pain. It was a lot of embarrassment. Was I gonna tell my mom? Was I gonna tell my dad? Was I gonna tell my brother and sister who had been there for me, just supporting me throughout my whole life? Because I'm the youngest of three. And I just felt shameful, man. Not getting into school made me feel lost. And I didn't know. What was plan B? Maybe go to nursing, because my brother and sister ended up choosing nursing, which is an amazing career, but I would not have been a good fit. I wouldn't have been ready for it. So, feeling the feeling of rejection is probably not foreign to you guys. Who here has felt rejection before in any form? Mostly everyone, right? How did that feel? What emotions did you guys feel with rejection? Can I get a hand? What was that? Tough. Exactly. Anyone else? Vulnerable. Vulnerable. Good. I'm good. Exactly. One more.
It's like when you're the smallest doll in a Bushka doll.
Oh, okay. Exactly. Oh, that was new. I never heard that one. I like that. Okay, so that was good. All right. So after dealing with the rejection, got you guys talking now, huh? After the rejection, I had to evaluate. Why did I not get into this program? I actually was granted the interview at UOP. After the interview, I knew I didn't get it. Actually, during the interview, I knew I wasn't going to get it because my confidence just started going down. My answers were short. They would actually run on sentences that I kept providing for the teacher that was trying to accept me. And I took it for granted. I look back. I took it for granted. I thought that my grades, which weren't actually the highest, but it was good enough to apply and get in. But I thought I would just waltz my way in, get into PT school, and get started with my career. Yeah, that was a harsh reality when I realized I got rejected. But at this point, I really had two choices, right? So I could either fold, give up, and look at plan B, or I can say, you know what? I should probably learn from this because I don't know why I'm getting rejected, but it's probably gonna make sense a little bit later, but I don't know why. So here we are. So after that, I'm gonna touch on this story a little bit later to give you a little bit more of a context as far as what I did after, but let me soften this up a little bit and show you guys my family. All right? A little louder? Yeah, that's good. So this is my family, man. When things get tough, I know I can always fall back on them, and when I want to give up, I know I can't because it's easy to disappoint yourself. Easy. We're our harshest critics. Easy to say, we did a bad job. Easy to say, you're weak. But the thing is, all these people that are behind you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be family, it could be also friends. If you look around you, right? Giving up on them is a little harder, right? Making people feel disappointed about your efforts, that's hard to do. This is my fiance and I. She actually just got into, she went to Samuel Merritt Nursing School, and she graduated within a year. And she's an example of someone that made a choice that she wasn't happy working at El Camino in the medical record department. And I kept challenging her, and I said, babe, we don't have any kids right now. We just have a fur baby right here. It's my little, this is my little pitty. I love her to death. She was actually born around the same time as Progressive Motion, so I hold her right here. But anyway, I can go on and on. I just told Jen, take a chance. take a chance, because really the worst that can happen really is you continue to work at your full-time job. How really bad is that? So she ended up going to nursing school and graduated within a year at Sangomar because they have an accelerated 1-year program. And now she's over there in she's over at Santa Clara Valley Med in the spinal cord unit. And it's funny, you know, there was a lot of nights where she would cry to me saying, "Babe, I can't do it. I can't pass this class." What did she do? She passed the class. "Babe, I don't know if I'll graduate." What did she do? She graduated. After she graduated, what did she say? "Babe, I can't get a job in California. Should I move back to Seattle?" Guess what she did? She got a job in California. Then she said, "Babe, I don't know how I'm going to survive in a spinal cord unit." Guess what she did? She's surviving in a spinal cord unit. So you're going to go through a lot of doubts, a lot of fears, but you got to just keep going. All right, so a little bit of background. So in middle school and high school, for me, I grew up the token Filipino. I was around a lot of people that weren't like me at all. And that was tough, being a kid that was always trying to fit in, whether I was moving to a new location. You know, I moved to Washington State, small town. You know, I came from over here in the Bay Area to moving to a very small town where by 8 p.m. in Washington, the lights all turned yellow because there weren't enough cars. So you just drove straight through. And that was really new to me. I was confused. I was sitting at the Taco Bell with my parents when we drove 14 hours up north, and I said, where are we? Because I felt like so disconnected from everything here in California. But that ended up being really the best move of my life. And I went from Washington State, and I wanted to go to a bigger school in a big city, where I received my Bachelor of Science in Biology. And I'm glad Josh talked about what he majored in, kinesiology. I would say my number one advice, it's not a regret, but my number one advice is to find a major. If you truly are interested in physical therapy, find a major that is fairly relatable to the field, because there was a good handful in our class, right, that majored in kines, biomechanics, pre-PT, you name it. And they had a one step ahead because they knew the terminology, and that's helpful. For me, even though I did biology, which is still relatable, it felt like I was a step behind, but that's still okay. I'm not saying you have to, but I think it's important, if you know this is the field that you want to go into, find something that's very similar to the field of physical therapy. But, like as I touched on earlier, growing up in different environments where I was the token Filipino, I was still very sociable. I played basketball, I played baseball, which forced me to be in very uncomfortable situations with people that weren't like me. And that led to a lot of insecurity, led to a lot of shame. I felt truly lonely inside. I wasn't really lonely because I was, like I said, I was sociable, but inside, I was kind of tore up, really. I felt like I was that fake tough guy, I hid it behind a mask, and I didn't know how powerful vulnerability was. Even to this day, I feel like vulnerability is my true strength. And one thing I talked to Josh about is, if you show vulnerability in front of someone in a conversation, every interaction that I have, if I show vulnerability, what that's doing really for that person is helping them appreciate what vulnerability is. Because guess what they're going to do when they interact with someone else? Probably show a little vulnerability to that interaction, and it's just going to spread like it's going to basically like a domino effect. And ultimately, these insecurities, it actually followed me. It followed me to college. It followed me to grad school, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get my degree, solid. I'm going to achieve. I'm going to be confident. No. Went to grad school. I'm about to get my doctorate. I felt good. No. Insecurity is still following me. I did things that didn't necessarily challenge myself. I did things that I felt comfortable succeeding in. What was sure? Our brains are really designed to keep us away from things that are fearful, right? Think about when you guys feel scared. Give your mind 5 seconds to think about it. What does your mind do? Talk you out of it, right? So sometimes you gotta just react. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make a choice. Because you go past that 5 seconds, you're gonna back off, right? And then not make the decision that's gonna help you grow. And that's one thing that I've had to groove, and it took me a long time, trust me. And I didn't know that this was gonna have a huge detrimental effect to my development as a person. But, ultimately feeling vulnerable, I would write that down, circle it, vulnerability is the true skill of getting to where you really want to go in life. Change your story, change your life. So going back to what I had to do in that instance of rejection, I could fold and give up and let down a lot of people that were there for me. Or I can learn and move on. So what did I do when I got rejected? Well, I retook classes that I didn't do too well in. So I looked at the classes that I may have gotten a 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, whatever it was. I knew it wasn't competitive enough. So I retook the classes I needed to, and made sure I sat right there in the front. In front, did well, 3.8, 4.0. Make that a target, write that down so you know where you're going. Talk to the teacher, engage. I used to be the one that sat in the back, I'll be honest. My back was always against the wall. I'd be the first one out of the class because I wanted to go play ball. Bad choice early on, that hurt because that made me fall behind a lot in classes. But it was a harsh reality for me. But what it did was give me an appreciation of that rejection. You know, more volunteer opportunities, meaning go to the hospital, go to different outpatient clinics. Josh already showed all the different kind of environments that you can expose yourself in PT. Don't go to just one and let that decide your future. Go to a few. Even if you went to one outpatient, go to 2 to 3. Challenge yourself to feel different environments because that's ultimately what's going to give you an opportunity to talk about your story, right? If you don't challenge yourself with different environments, you might only have one taste. Like, you can go get ice cream, there's a lot of flavors, right? Don't you want enough flavors to talk about? I think that's really important when we talk about our experience. And, you know, again, going down this list, improving writing and speaking skills. I'm still working on it, guys, so give me a break up here, okay? But it's something that I've had to practice over and over again. I had to retake my GREs, which is a graduate level test, in order to apply to school. And I'll be honest, I didn't have a good score. I took it again. I got a little bit better score, but I still didn't even have the highest scores. So thrive to work harder at achieving more competitive grades, more competitive scores. It's not easy, definitely not, but you have to write something down to strive towards that. And I worked on relationships. I focused the year after I was rejected, I just worked on being better to my friends, being better to my family, because I was in Seattle and all my folks were down here. My cousins, my brother, sister, my mom and dad, so I would call them just to talk and check in. How you doing? Because, you know, life is precious, man. We don't know what's gonna happen when we walk down the street, get in the car. So be good to your family because they truly care, your friends and family that is, and be great to your mentors because they usually have your best interests at heart. Sorry, LeBron fans. Same story, different day. So like I said, when I went to grad school, there was a lot of self-doubt that showed up. You know, I was excited to come back because I was in Seattle at University of Washington, came back down to Cali to be around family again, and it was like the honeymoon phase. Super excited to be back, but as soon as I got into grad school, I went through it again. Self-doubt, sleepless nights. The amount of nights I cried to my sister, guys, I'm telling you, it was actually kind of embarrassing, but it was a struggle. And I thank God for my sister because she really helped me get through it. And really, I felt fearful. And really what fear is, I didn't know this at the time, but it's false expectations appearing real. And I would write that one down. Anytime you get scared of something, false expectations appearing real, meaning fear's just there. It's something that you build in your mind. But if you continue to run away from it, I promise you it'll be there. But if you choose to run towards it, you will begin to conquer it, okay? That last quote right here, it's gonna be tough for you to make it out of the program. What's funny is, as I was putting this presentation together, that's actually something that my anatomy teacher, I won't say any names, but that's something that my anatomy teacher told me when I was going through grad school. I struggled on the quiz. I think I got like a 6 out of 12. Pretty good, 50% field goal percentage. And he said, you know what, Joey? You know, it's gonna be really tough for you to make it out of this program. Wasn't really inspiring. It actually put a lot of fear back into me. And Yeah, I texted Josh actually right when I did this presentation that I forgot that this person told me this, but I'm glad he did. I don't know what his intentions were. Maybe it's a scare tactic, but I think it worked. But I think you guys have all heard this quote: "Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard." That's absolutely true. I'm not the most intelligent guy. I work my butt off though. I promise you that. But in grad school, I didn't celebrate that. I didn't celebrate my work ethic. I kept comparing myself to others. I kept saying, "Oh man, how much did you watch the Niner game?" "Oh yeah." People would tell me, "Yeah, I watched the whole game. What about you?" I go, "No, I studied the whole day." And I would get so upset at the fact that I needed to study so much more than the next person that hindered my growth. I was too focused on that versus actually just celebrating the fact that I worked my tail off. So remember that when your friends are out and you're in your room grinding, keep grinding, because you're going to be in that position to look back and say, "Damn, I did it. I'm glad I did that." So never forget that. All right. So after graduate school, what was the journey? So I worked at 2 different outpatient clinics. One was in San Jose. I won't say any names. I worked in another one in San Mateo, but these 2 clinics were a very poor experience and not so fun in the sense that I was treating about 20 to 30 people a day. And as a new grad student, I didn't know what I was doing, I'll be honest. And I had a very difficult leader. My boss was placing a lot of false beliefs in my head, saying that I wasn't coachable, saying that I was a bad person, saying that I was selfish, which actually got me to believe that I was. So I started asking a lot of people around me, what's wrong with me? Do I not seem like a team player? Because I grew up playing sports, and at the very heart of my existence, sports has played a huge part in camaraderie and being selfless, because if you have a common goal with another person or a group, that's what the goal is. And it was crazy. But I remember my mom, she said, anak, which I'm Filipino, anak means child. She said, "Why don't you just quit this job?" And this was 2 months in. But I said, "You know what, Mom? I can't quit. I put myself here. I didn't ask the right questions in my interview. So what I'm gonna do is go through the suffering of feeling like crap every single day. I hated going to work. And I knew at some point it would make sense down the road. I hated it. Josh remembers. I used to go to his house 3 days a week to work out after, but I would be coming in flames. I would just complain and complain and complain. And I felt bad for him and my friend Steven, because all they had to do was hear me all the time while we were trying to just get a good workout, a good pump in. But yeah, so that was how it started. And then I worked per diem, which is basically you kind of work as needed. I worked at Washington Hospital in outpatient, Elite Sports, and PT. So if you guys are in East Bay, Elite Sports was a really good place. I can't speak a lot on a lot of outpatient clinics in the East Bay, but I would write that one down. Our mentor, Jake, and he's not the owner there anymore, but that would be a great place to get some aid experience. And you can tell them that I sent you, because I think they do take a good amount of volunteers, but I would just write that one down. So after working per diem, I went to do home health, and home health is basically where I would drive around, and actually I hung out a lot actually around this location in Oakland, San Leandro, drove all the way to Antioch just to see patients that were either discharged from the hospital or discharged from nursing homes, in order to help make sure that they feel independent at home. And at the same time, that was helping me pay my bills. It wasn't truly my passion or my why, but I still had to be there for my clients or my patients. And I started progressive motion PT around that time in 2014. And the reason why I started PMPT was because of how unhappy I was over in my previous jobs. And when I had the opportunity, I was looking at Craigslist actually to look for a new job, and I ran across an ad, and my colleague Elisa, at the time, I was just looking for a job. It said looking for a PT to come to On the Move PT. That's another one you want to write down. On the Move Physical Therapy, Belmont, California. If it wasn't for her, I for sure would not be here in front of you guys today. But the ad was, I thought it was just for a job, but I went to the interview dressed up in my tie, dress shoes on, and I said, I'm here for the job interview. And she said, this isn't for a job. I was like, huh? Why am I here? She goes, oh, this is actually an opportunity for you to start your own thing without having the burden of having your own building. So basically I was subleasing. So what I did to start my journey was basically I paid her a rent to use her space. I got terrified. And actually, secondly, she didn't take insurance. So that's what the way Progressive Motion is set up. We're out of network with physical therapists where we don't take any insurances. And that was terrifying because I didn't even know that existed. But I asked her if I could, I asked her if I could have a week to just think about what I wanted to do in my next step. And when I was doing home health, I spent a lot of time on the road. And do you guys all commute? Like, where do you guys, are you guys on the road a lot? What's the longest commute here? Anyone? San Leandro? Oh, that's not too bad. Concord. How fun is it sitting in traffic? It's fun? You like it? So sometimes, it's hard to be productive in traffic sometimes. So when I was doing home health, I just fired up some podcasts, YouTube videos. I wasn't watching. I was just listening. Okay? And it puts me back in the time where I came across and I would search Will Smith compilation. I'm not exactly sure. I would write that one down too. That was a big nugget for me because it was around Lent, and I chose to give up fear for Lent. So it's usually something crazy like no soda, no ice cream, but that never really made me a better person. So I knew that if I wanted PMPT to succeed, I was like, I gotta give up fear. So I made a choice to run towards the things that I was scared of. And that was the moment when I decided, this home health thing isn't for me. It could be for you. I challenge you guys to also experience it so you know, but I knew it wasn't my mission. So I decided to go full-time, full force with PMPT in September 2015 and quit home health. And that was scary because at the time, Jen was the only one working. I wasn't making much from home health, so I decided to go for it. And I gotta tell you, woo! Yeah, has anyone here skydived? Oh man, this was in Kauai. I told myself I was gonna do something that dumb. It had to be somewhere beautiful. But this is exactly what it felt. This is what it felt like. It was a lot of freedom into what I wanted to do in my life. And to be honest, man, it's been an amazing journey. Here we are. I'm the only one that didn't graduate. I'm just here without my doctoral hood. You guys can get that, huh? But here we are with all of our classmates graduating from UOP. And these are just a few photos of Josh and I. This is only a few, man. To hold a physical therapy license, you need about, I think, 30 hours of continuing education. We trump that. We take about 200 to 300 in the last 2 years. So we're not really just trying to fulfill those credits. We're doing this because we love what we do. And because every time we get in the clinic, there's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be a client or a patient where we get stumped, where we don't know what to do. And it's a little frustrating because people are trusting us, trusting you as a PT to help them move better and live happier. You don't do your due diligence to work your tail off, to be a great clinician. Think about the family that you're affecting. Not just that person in front of you, but the person that they're trying to be there for. That's why you do what you do. And luckily for us, we've met some amazing people through our journey. These people right here have influenced us tremendously in our growth. And sometimes you get to do some fun stuff and work with some athletes. This is Andre Berto. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this boxer. I had a chance to work with him in camp during one of his fights with Victor Ortiz. I'm sure, do you guys know Andre Ward? So I had an amazing opportunity to work with him for 3 fights in his camp. And I never thought in a day in my life I would get a chance to work with a high-profile athlete like him, and that was an accident. I got a chance to work with him because my guy Jakin from Elite Sports PT in Fremont couldn't take the job. And the first person he called was me. I remember where I was. I was in San Mateo. I was in the parking lot getting ready to walk into Phil's Coffee. And I got a call from Jakin. I said, hello? He's like, Joey, what's up, man? How you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm good. About to go in the coffee shop. And he goes, I got a job for you. I go, all right. He goes, I got a fighter that's in need. I go, okay, who? He goes, do you know who Andre Ward is? I go, yeah. He said, you want the job? I go, yeah, no questions asked. Let me know when he needs me. So that was basically right here is actually I was terrified, by the way, here. I didn't know. I was terrified. I was showing him a straight leg raise to see how tight his hamstrings were, and he was giving me this like, you can actually see it in his face right there. But man, I'm glad I got a chance to work with him, and yeah. So this picture I'm showing you this here right now because this quote is I don't know how many of you guys here follow us on Instagram. Okay, perfect opportunity. But dang, that hurt, guys. Come on, you gotta have one, right? Okay. So I am hurt now. Now I'm feeling vulnerable. So this is a picture of me during the day that I signed the lease to our new space in Menlo Park. And the reason why I took a picture by this is because during the tour, the landlord was walking us through this building. And keep in mind, a week before this, I lost the space that I really wanted. And I'm glad I didn't get it because it was actually way too big for the amount of space that Josh and I needed. It was like 25 to 2,700 square feet. The one that we're currently in is 2,000. So this one is 2,000 square feet, which is still pretty big. But I was walking around with my phone taking a video of the space. And I came across this quote which read, "We can do no great things, only small things with great love." And it was Mother Teresa. So that quote in isolation is very powerful, right? Great. But as I was taking the video, I immediately formed goosebumps on my arm because I knew exactly where that came from. So, who here has heard of a vision board? Oh, nice. Oh. Who here follows us on Instagram? Okay. So, all right. So a vision board, as you guys know, it's something that you portray. You make a poster, and you put a bunch of pictures and anything that influences what you want in your life. And I don't know about you guys, but do you see this? Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. That was a trip, because I made this 2 years ago. And the only quote that was touching my logo was this. There was no other quotes in that building. There was a decal on a random wall, and I was like, and I told Josh, I was like, hey, dude, look, it's on my vision board. And it's crazy because Mother Teresa's right here, right? And I guess the lesson from this vision board is, man, guys, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know where you're aiming, you're just a nomad taking a walk, man. So know what you want. And again, right now, 17, 18 years old, 16 years old, I didn't know what the heck I wanted. So don't feel bad if it's kind of cloudy. But challenge yourself to look up to something, look forward to something, and figure out why. Why? If there's one word, if you remember from here, is why do you want to do what you want to do? And let that be your vehicle to choosing a career path. And it might not be physical therapy, but I hope that with Josh and I standing here in front of you today, that our journey might inspire you guys to chase something that gets you excited, because when work gets tough, and it's tough, man. I mean, Josh, for a while, this guy was working, so he said he's still working in San Jose, and he was helping me drive to San Mateo on his half day. So he worked a half day in San Jose, then drive over and work another half day. On top of that, 3 full days in his other clinic. Oh, keep in mind, he has 3 dogs, 2 kids, and a wife. Sounds pretty easy, huh? But, you know, this guy, man, he sacrificed a lot to help build PMPT. And that's why I also challenge you guys to make sure that you surround yourself around good people. People that light you up. I look up to this cat. He's a smart guy, passionate about the field, and man, this has been an amazing and humbling journey. And damn, I told myself I wouldn't get emotional, but all right, so I'm gonna stand here in front of you guys today and look at this. You see this bottom screen, right? This bottom picture? So what this was supposed to signify 2 years ago, keep in mind, I made this 2 years ago, was supposed to signify myself standing in front of a bunch of high schoolers and speak and inspire. I look at my vision board every day, right before I sleep, right when I wake up, and I write this down, 5-minute journal. Yeah, who is that? Have you used it? Beautiful. So what it is basically you write down 3 thoughts of gratitude every single morning. I don't care, no matter how stressful your day is, how tough life can get, because it can. Life will punch you in the face, but you gotta figure it out. It will, right? I think we can all agree that. But if you remain grateful for what we currently have, it's hard to be grateful and angry at the same time. I'll challenge you guys to do that. So I do that every day. I write down 3 things that will make today amazing. I wrote in my journal, I should have posted this. I wrote in my journal that I wanted to have an amazing experience with you guys. And I hope that with Josh and I being here in front of you, that you guys felt the same way. But I'm literally living out my dream board. But have something that you will look forward to. And no one, right here, I love this quote, no one ever achieved greatness by playing it safe. Remember that, guys. And, oh, opportunity, guys. Okay, so honestly, please, give us some love. Follow us on Progressive Motion PT and hashtag that. I'm going to challenge you guys. If you can, do a post, whether it's a video, a picture, or on your story. Hashtag that move better, live happier. Let it be known. Show your friends. What did you guys take away from today? It could be something so small or so big, whatever it is, whatever today meant to you guys. We would like to know, because we want to continue to speak to high schoolers, middle schoolers, and help inspire, because I felt like the 29 years I lived in insecurity, I felt like I wasted a lot of time. But my good friend Jason Maiden from Super Heroic, I was treating this guy. He's a top Nike Jordan designer. He's an amazing gentleman. I was actually talking to him, and I said, I'm a little bit shameful that it took me 29 years I'm 32 now, but it took me 29 years to let go of my insecurities. But he said, baby, it wasn't your time. But make it your time now, and do your best to kind of strive to living better and living happier. So I think that kind of wraps up our presentation. Thank you, guys. I'm still kind of hurt about the whole Instagram thing, but do you guys have? I think Gary had you guys put together some questions, and hopefully we can answer some. So please, yeah.
So Josh so far his interest in physical therapy came in 8th grade. What's your interest?
Myself? Oh, so like I said, I was playing sports my whole life. And when I was trying to decide on a degree, I actually thought I was going to get into engineering.
Same thing.
But that would have been a bad mistake for me. I found out second quarter of calculus that it was going to be a short career. So I think my fascination for the human body and loving sports, I was wondering how was I going to integrate myself within health and sports. And so here we are. And it's fun. But keep in mind, guys, I showed you Andre Ward, I showed you Andre Berto. We treat the everyday person that just wants to stay fit. We work best with people that want to learn how to move better, want to invest in their body so they can be there for their kids. So don't let that glorification of seeing that athlete be what you take away from today. We treat most of our population as your everyday person that works at a desk. So yeah, I want to make sure you guys know that.
So you guys said that you specialize in orthopedics, pediatrics. So can you talk about what that is?
So we specialize in orthopedics. So orthopedic entails anything that's muscle and joint related, whether that be prehab for injury prevention, or post-surgical, like somebody who had a rotator cuff tear, we rehab that, or somebody that had a back surgery. So we're basically using that equation that I had up there where you're building up their capacity so that they can be resilient bodies again. That's it.
So when you guys are working with a patient and say they have a specific problem in their muscle or something, how do you determine what sort of movements or soft tissue work to do to try to fix that?
Beautiful question.
Nice.
I like that one. So I'll speak a little bit on what we do. So through a lot of the different trainings that we had, we've kind of accumulated our own style. Because early on when we were new as a PT, it was easy to get married to like one school of thought. But basically what we do is put people through a bunch of different movement patterns. So let's say for example, let's go ahead. Let's say someone comes in with back pain. I'll say, all right, go ahead and let me know when you feel any pain. I'm going to put you through a bunch of different movements, so just let me know if you feel what you came in reporting of. So go ahead and touch your toes. Ah! Okay, that's so common, right? Or you'll see this, right? Oh, my hamstrings are so tight. You'll see that a lot, right? How many of you guys have tight hamstrings? Yeah. Well, you guys just sat and listened to us for about an hour, so there's going to be some postural defects there, right? So we basically put people through maybe a squat pattern to figure out, okay, what do their mechanics look like? Or if they have neck pain, can they turn with full range of motion? Do they have shoulder pain? Can they actually reach their arm overhead? Yet, we've had people that come into the clinic and say, yeah, I have shoulder pain when I do CrossFit and I throw weight over my head. I'm like, cool, can I see you do that without weight? And then they come in like this. Then my jaw drops. I'm like, whoa, you're throwing weight over your head and you can only do this without weight? That's a problem, right? If you're putting weight on top of a problematic shoulder and you can't even lift here, then we gotta figure out, okay, why is that happening? So we have a bunch of different screens and exams that we look at to figure out what's next.
So it's like Sherlock Holmes, it's fun. You kind of figure out what makes them feel better, what makes them feel worse, and then you tailor programming based on that.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
When people come in with different issues, like a dislocated shoulder or something, would you refer them to the hospital to deal with that, or would you take care of that? And also, would a hospital ever kind of refer you guys as a contact to, go?
So somebody comes in with the shoulder actually still dislocated, then yeah, they're seeing a medical doctor. But if they're coming in post-dislocation and it's relocated, then that's right up our alley. Because then we're creating programming that then improves the rotator function to compensate for the dislocation. So yeah, definitely within the scope. Referral from the hospital, yes. Yeah, they'll see the physician, and then usually the physician will say, you go see a therapist to kind of correct all the dysfunction that occurs post-dislocation.
So what would you say is like an absolute hardship that comes with your job and how you deal with things?
Paperwork. At least for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm still insurance based to deal with that.
So, okay. So I'll speak on, okay, the hardship I would say is because of our job is so, people think it's so demanding physically, which I think it can be, but I really don't think that's what really makes me tired at the end of the day. I think a lot of it is the emotional side, right? Because people are coming in to see us, choosing to see us, and they're dealing with a problem. So what we're doing as PTs is we're literally trying to take pain away from them. But the expenses, we get times 10 people a day, the pain puts on us. Because now we have a responsibility to make them feel good, make sure that their time was worth it to see us. So it takes a certain muscle or practice of not being super attached to that particular thought. It's important, you have, natural human beings, we're gonna care about the person in front of us. But it's very important after to not take it home with you and affect your life at home. I made this mistake and I still make this mistake. The stress of our work will affect our home life. And that's why I work so hard in personal development and all that stuff I talk to you guys about. I probably bored you guys a little bit, but man, I cannot stress how important personal development is in building up our relationships with our significant others, our family. But I would say that for me, that's the biggest hardship. And then Josh was going to talk about insurance.
Yeah, paperwork. So when you're an insurance model, you have to prove to the insurance company that your treatment is medically necessary. So it's a constant battle of being approved by the person distributing the funds from the insurance, and it's constantly going back and forth and limiting your scope to what the prescription says. So the nice thing at PMPT is we definitely treat the whole body. It's not like, hey, they come in with hip pain, we can only treat the hip. A lot of times it's not just the hip, it's the foot that's causing the hip pain. So it definitely allows for more freedom.
Yeah, on that note, right, like I said, people choose to see us because they find us on Yelp, they'll find us through Instagram, Facebook. So we get a lot of people that come and actually want to come and see us versus just being sent to us. Versus saying, hey, why are you here today? I don't know, my doctor sent me. Yeah, we don't work well with those people because it's hard, right? Because in order for us to work well, you have to kind of want to do it, or else we're a waste of space. Yeah. In the back? Yeah. Ooh. Oh man, that was heavy. No, community involvement like this. Because it's easy to get caught up in the rat race of making your business thrive. But I think Josh and I, like in the video, we want to be able to touch as many people as we can. But we only have certain amount of hours in a day. That's why I love putting material up in social media. I love interacting on social media because that's our way of being able to touch as many people to become more aware of what physical therapy can actually do. Because the society has kind of formulated PT in this little bubble of I only need to go when I'm hurt. I only need to go if I get surgery. But really, we treat a lot of... Initially, when people come in, they are hurt. But they end up becoming clients because they like feeling good and performing well. So it's kind of fun, after we get them past that. But PMPT, I hope to really help, like I said in my hashtag, move better, live happier. That's ultimately what we want to do with people.
No,
Right here? Yeah.
Well, I have two questions. First is, what are your thoughts on traditional Eastern forms of rehabilitation? Have you guys ever used that? And then the second one would, what would you say to a person who's at a point in their life where they're kind of realizing that everything that they've been looking forward to, they don't really have a why?
I'll answer the first one. So the first one is definitely with PMPT, we've kind of imbibed this collaboration approach. Every single modality, which is like anything that could help you feel better, like chiropractic, acupuncture, athletic training, all these things work together. Each one has their own tools, their own set of tools that they can provide to allow the person to move better or move with less pain. So definitely it has its place. And yeah, sometimes we refer out to acupuncturists that we have in our network that we know and met. Yeah, definitely.
Can you say that second question?
What would you say to someone who's at a point in their life where they're kind of realizing that everything that they've been looking forward to, working towards, isn't what they really want to do, or they don't have a why for it?
Simon Sinek. I would watch that talk. Honestly, how many times I passed that YouTube link to my clients and friends, I would challenge someone to watch that because it puts it into context of what do you want to do when you roll out of bed? You have to reach out into different sources. You can't just talk to your friends. You can't just talk to your family. Reach out to, there's so much free material, guys, right? Like there's podcasts, there's unlimited resources there. And I would say the personal development, like Tony Robbins, I hold him pretty close to my heart. He doesn't even know who I am. But I've listened to his podcast up and down because it's challenged me to think differently. Because it's not easy, right? Like you go through life where you're kind of going through ups and downs. You got to figure out what makes you go. And what makes us go is when people feel better and they can, I don't know, hang out with their kids without pain. Like, that's why we do it, right? It's not to glorify just getting on the gram and doing all of that. It's really, truly making changes for someone so they can hang out with their family and whatever that might be. Matt?
So guys, have you more physical therapists that would have to work the most?
No, this is it. You're looking at it. I was running the solo dolo show for a long time. until 6 months ago. So you're looking at the only two, and I'm still trying to get him to get full time and take a leap. And
It's like the quote, man. It's fear, but hey,
so
it could be happiness and then improvement on the other side of that fear. So I'm gonna go for it. Go for it.
we'll be looking. Lexi.
So you mentioned like living in constant fear and like having to like running into self-doubt before you keep going.
My why? My why?
Yeah. I like your walk.
Yeah. You're gonna hear that a lot from me. Because that's why my vision board, right? I showed you guys that. I literally wake up to that every morning. I look at that first to remind me why I'm getting up at 5 a.m. And then I go to bed at 11. I should be getting to bed earlier, guys. But I look at that and remind me why I stayed up so late. Right? So if you remember why you're doing it, it's easier to get through your stress.
Yeah, write it down, man. Put down what you want and what's gonna make you happy. Write it down and then strive to it. That's how you do it.
And on that note, if your why is money, what's gonna happen when you get that dollar amount that you want? You're gonna want more, right? Not a good formula. I know a lot of people, especially some of the clients that we work with. You gotta go. Oh. Oh, okay. Know what you want, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of money that aren't fulfilled. Fulfillment is the key to success in life or happiness. Gary.
What is your connection to fast functional feet?
Aha, beautiful.
And who are they and what do they do?
Do they know fast functional feet?
The Life Academy students know this.
How many of you guys are here from Life Academy?
We're on Life Academy. Well,
Well,
anyway.
okay. I'll answer it though.
Yeah.
So Christian and Ryan, they were both aides at Elite Sports PT. And when I worked there per diem, I got connected through them, not only because I was there as a PT, but also because we actually know they were friends with my cousins. And I just stayed connected. I actually had that talk with Christian, because he's the one that started Fast Functional Feet, about fear, about making the jump, because they were both trying to get into physical therapy school. But I said, what are you guys gonna do in the meantime while you're just waiting around? Make something happen. Man, if you follow Fast Functional Feet, you'll see how much he's grown, and I'm actually very proud of him, because we had one conversation and he took the leap, and now he's doing his thing. So it's neat to see. All right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Out of all the patients that you have, what would you say is the most common injury or disorder that you guys see? And what is the path of therapy that you guys give them?
Say the last part of me.
So out of all the patients that you see, what is the most common injury or disorder, and how, like what path of therapy would you give them? Just like as an example.
So a very common pattern we see is low back pain, because we're all stuck, like a lot of us are stuck in chairs, and sitting's actually a higher pressure on your spine than standing, so we get a lot of low back pain people. So what we do is their path of getting better is usually we do an evaluation. Usually we'll find some type of core weakness, so meaning like abdominal muscle weakness that's not supporting their spine, or they'll have tight hips, which if your hips are tight, you gotta think every step you're doing is going to your back, because the hips, we gotta disassociate the hips from the low back. So meaning separate the two so that the stress doesn't go to the back in that common path.
Yeah.
What do your exercises target to reduce ache or pain?
What? I'm sorry. Say.
What do the exercises target to like reduce ache or pain? So if you have like back pain, like what exercises do you do?
You're gonna hear this answer a lot.
Yeah.
It depends.
Because the
Right.
evaluation determines.
Yeah, evaluation really determines what we need to do. That's why I get a lot of people that will hit us up on Instagram and say, hey, I have this, what do I do? It depends, right? Because you can have back pain right here, same location, and then someone else can walk in, same exact pain, totally different.
For example, I bent over, my back hurts. Or somebody else bends back and their back hurts. So there's going to be two separate prescriptions for that. That's just a simple way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So you give them a flexion bias, meaning the bending forward exercise program, they'll feel worse. So you got to you got to evaluate. There's no cookie, cookbook.
Jean jacket.
Okay, so how do you think physical therapy changes the mindset of someone? Like after they do
How does it change one's mindset? I think helping them value their own body, because I think it's worth it, right? Like, we all go to a dentist to prevent cavities, but we can replace teeth, right? But we only have, or even let's take for example, an automobile, a car. What happens when the start light engine comes on, or the engine light comes on? What do you guys normally do about it? If you know about cars, you fix it or you bring it in to someone that knows what to do with it, right? But when we have that light come on in our body, we're like, ah, it's cool. I just slept it off. Or they'll shake it off, right? They'll shake it off and just say, we'll worry about it later. And then sometimes pain does go away, right? But just because pain goes away, it doesn't necessarily mean that dysfunction is gone. It'll probably come back somehow, some way later down the road. So it's important to kind of be aware of your own body so you're doing preventative measures so you don't have to get the knee replacement, so you don't have to get surgery. Because it's possible to feel better without getting cut with a knife in surgery.
The other thing I noticed with them is an improved confidence in their capability, their physical capabilities. Because you put them through the gauntlet, and some of them it's like the first time they've ever gone through a movement, like exercise program, and so they see it, they shed a new light on their physical capabilities, so they usually leave a lot more confident in themselves.
You guys grew up loving sports. Why did you guys choose to be
Athletic trainer. The scope of practice is a little bit more, it's more limited within what you can do. What really pushed me into PT was the fact that PTs are allowed to do what's called grade 5 manipulations. And I don't know, I just like being able to crack things, so that's definitely kind of pushed me into the scope of PT versus ATC. But yeah, they're very similar. It's just one's going to have a scope.
So what other professions, I know you touched sort of on, but what other professions do you work with? Mostly like
What, like collaborative care?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this one. I actually have on my registration forms, I put who's on your health team. So I have, do you have a psychologist? Do you have a trainer? Do you have a dentist? Do you have a naturopathic doctor? Do you have a chiropractor, a massage therapist? Because it's important to have collaboration with a lot of people. We don't claim to solve everything, so it's important to have people that you can refer to consistently. Because let's say someone comes into the clinic, and this happens a lot actually, okay? So people will come in with lower back pain, and we do things in the clinic, and man, they're feeling great, feel like they're moving without pain. They leave, come back, it's back. Okay, and I think you do that pattern for 3, 4, 5 times, and it still keeps coming back even though the pain goes away in the clinic. I'm now thinking, I'm literally looking people in the eye and saying, how you doing? Like, how's everything? Like, literally asking, wanting to know. And you'll find out when you strip the layers, they're dealing with some stuff at home. So guess what? I'm reaching in my pocket to call or text my psychotherapist to hopefully get them a consult so they can feel better. Because we can do all we want in PT, but really if we don't groove that mind, your body will manifest it. Yeah.
So I know one of the main points you guys believe in is prehab before rehab. So I just want you to explain the concept of
Prehab. So prehab, basically what we do for prehab is we step back. Even though the individual in front of us doesn't have pain, we can take our tools, our assessment evaluation tools, and have them basically go through those motions. And a lot of times you'll find dysfunction in non-painful people, which ultimately later on could be pain. So the prehab comes in to find any tightnesses anywhere, weaknesses anywhere, core instability, so that we rehabilitate those prior to them having the actual symptoms. So that's where the definition of prehab.
Yeah. You guys talked a lot about like prevention and wellness. And personal trainers usually people go to them to like keep up their wellness. What's the difference between going to you and a personal trainer?
Scope of practice once again. So the trainer's scope allows them to put you through exercise programming and to advise on self-stretching and like the foam roller, for example, self-massage with the foam roller. We come into the picture because our scope allows us to touch the individual, whereas the personal trainer is not allowed to, or technically not allowed to.
Technically.
Yeah, which a lot of them stretch people. And that's the difference, because a lot of times a good personal trainer is going to be on point with the movement like us, but their scope is limited to not being able to actually touch the person.
Yeah, and on that kind of answering about the collaboration, like trainers, it's amazing. You work with a trainer for one client, that's a sweet spot for me, for us, because we'll help groove movement patterns. Then it's like, all right, now you got to add load, get stronger, because getting stronger creates more resiliency in your body. So go see a trainer, because they're ultimately going to help you do that. And while along the ride, we're helping them clean up their body and move better. So, yeah. Any more, Gary? 2 more? Right.
When you're doing movement training, how can you tell when a problem is not ortho-related, but rather neural?
SMCD. So what you do is you take that person into other positions. For example, if it's a motor control issue, you would put them in a less postural demanding position. And if suddenly the range of motion that was limited is no longer limited, then you start to say, okay, this might be a motor control issue. So motor control meaning like the neurologic system's ability to maintain, let's say for somebody with, tight hamstrings. That doesn't always mean it's tight hamstrings. Sometimes it's the lack of core stability that then the hamstrings compensate for. The hamstrings hold a tone to maintain the pelvis in level. So when you go to reach down, the hamstring's still tight, but they're not truly tight. They're just protecting because the neurologic system doesn't want to let go to let you, to trust you to go down to your toes.
So to add to that, right? So he just said toe touch, right? Oh, too tight, right? And then you put someone on the ground, and why are they like this?
Yeah, that's one way you take them out of the postural demanding position.
Is it still tight? No, we just reduce the demand, like he said. We just put them on the ground. It's a little safer here. And now it's like, ooh, I got good hamstring. But then you stand them up again, and they get locked up because their core isn't strong enough. So it's actually interesting because before I would have just stressed the heck out of the hamstrings thinking of making a change. So yeah, does that make sense? Yes. Cool.
What would you do for a patient who has pain in more than one location without having or giving them more pain?
Ooh.
Hey, Gary, good job.
So a lot of times we step back and look at the whole person, and what you'll find is you'll find one major impairment. An impairment could be like tightness, weakness, a core instability. So what we do a lot of times is we'll find that proximal instability, like proximal musculature weakness, leads to a whole manifestation of multiple areas of pain. So a lot of times we start from, or I start from proximal work distal. And what you'll find is when you work proximal and distal, everything else kind of corrects itself. Oh, so proximal and distal meaning like close to out, inside out.
All right, can we give it up?